The Detroit Pistons have re-signed or signed to an extension Bojan Bogdanovic, which is huge. I don't know how else to say this. This is a big deal whether you like it or not. And we're going to go into talking about what we like about the deal, what I don't like about the deal, and you can feel free to agree or disagree or do whatever you feel you must. But at this moment, responding to it fairly quickly, I wanted to talk about it. First, I wanted to talk about Cade and his resurgence and how well he's been playing. But I also want to talk about Bogdanovic. I think that this is a huge re-signing for the Detroit Pistons, and here's the reason: we bring him over in the trade. We give up almost nothing. We give almost nothing for the guy. Literally a bag of Kelly Olynyk is what we gave up, and that freed us some cap room already. And we start paying him 19 million. So we already have a good amount of cap room going into next year, and we'll continue to have a decent amount going in. There's not a lot of teams with a ton of money right now. And we do a little preemptive shopping, if you will. And here are the details of it. We go to our friends at Detroit Bad Boys. He was traded from Utah to Detroit in the final of a 4-year deal that saw him make 19.5 million this year, but he is set to make 39.1 million over the next 2 years. So he was making 19.5 million this year. He's essentially making 19.5 million each of the next 2 years to stay here. So, what do I like about the trade? Well, what I like about the trade is, quite frankly, a lot. I don't know how I don't know how else to say it. There's a lot that I like about it. He's a good sharpshooter, and in just a second here, I'm going to share with you some of the stats that he's been putting up. And so here they are right here. He has been a great player this year. He is averaging 22.7. He is our leading scorer for right now. I don't know if he'll continue there, if Cade will overtake him. His true shooting percentage is out of control at 72.3%. He's not going to get you a ton of rebounds, not a ton of assists. He's not going to get you a ton of blocks. But what he is going to do, he's going to shoot the three a lot, and he is going to shoot it at a high percentage clip. Right now, he's shooting it at 51%. Do I think that will continue? No, I don't. But what I think you're starting to see are some weird things happen. He was in Utah with Mike Conley Jr., he was in Utah with Mitchell, and I think those are great players. However, I do believe that Cade Cunningham is a better creator than those guys. I think Jaden Ivey is already proving to see some things. Killian Hayes. I think we have guys that are better creators. So when you see him putting up 22 points, I don't think it's that big of a shock. I don't think it's that big of a shock. I also think you have more guys that are more willing to pass. The assist numbers for the Pistons have been very good this year. He's more like the shot to all the assists. He's not going to be the one moving it like crazy, but it also doesn't get stuck in his hands. When was the last time, maybe Tobias Harris, but when was the last time you felt like you had a guy on the Pistons that when he got the ball and he was open, it was just going in? It's just going in. And he is the only player on that team that we feel that way about, that on our team right now that we can feel that way about. But he is doing the little things that we need to have done. He is that coach on the floor. He is the walking bucket because he can just shoot at a high clip. He doesn't take dumb shots, which is really, really nice. He does not turn the ball over that much, only averaging 1.1 turnovers per game. He doesn't foul that often. He only averages 2 fouls per game. Like I said, he's not getting you blocks. He's not getting you steals. He is a liability on the defensive end, but he can get you buckets. And he is a decent, I'm not going to say great. I'm not going to say great, but he is at least a decent team defender. Like he understands concepts and things of that nature, where I think at minimum, as this team gets better, what he is, even as he gets older, is a great guy coming off the bench that is just a 3-point shot waiting to happen. But right now, he is still just a player. And I think when watching him for these first 7 games, I thought we were paying 19.5 million for a shooter. What we ended up getting was we were paying 19.5 million for a guy who's just an all-around good basketball player. Like he's a great offensive basketball player. He has a faster first step than I thought he did. He is able to get to the bucket. He's able to create shots for himself. These are not things I realized, and I guess I should have. You don't average 18, 19 points without being able to do that. But at the same time, he was behind a couple of other scorers there in Utah. So coming here to Detroit, he's very clearly the number 2 option behind Cade Cunningham, maybe even number 1. But I think he's the number 2 offensive option just because Cade can create for himself a little bit better. I don't know if it stays that way through the course of his contract. I think Jaden Ivey very clearly becomes the number 2 option, but it's looking good. So I said things we like and things we don't like. I'm going to tell you something I like while telling you something I don't like. I don't like that this brings him through the age 35 season. What I love is that it was only a 2-year extension. Bojan is 33 right now. He is going to turn 34 in April, sometime in April. So as the season ends, he will be turning 34. That means next year, for the entirety of the year, he'll be 34. And then in his final year of the contract, he will be 35. So the question has to be, could we have gotten a younger option on this? I've been doing some looking at the free agency, who's coming up next year. Cameron Johnson's about the only player from the Suns that is comparable to Bojan in the way that he plays, but he can't create for himself like Bojan does. And he's a restricted free agent. So Phoenix, you'd have to overpay him greatly in order to get him. I was thinking about all the trades we were talking about in this past year. Like, hey, if we can get a draft pick from the Heat, do we take on the Duncan Robinson contract? Like when we were talking about trading Jeremy Grant, we were talking about it for Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson's making $20 million for the next 3 years. We now have Bojan Bogdanovic at the same price for the next 3 years. I understand Duncan Robinson is younger. I also know that he's coming off a not good year. And he cannot create for himself like Bojan can. So would you rather have Duncan at 20 million, or would you rather have Bojan and Duren, by the way, because if we made that trade with Miami, we're not getting Duren. I mean, we might have been able to, but it would have been tricky. So is that one of those things that you're looking at and saying, like, would I rather have Duncan Robinson? And my answer to that is no. I understand Bojan Bogdanovic is older. I totally understand that. However, I just think he is an offensive piece, and that veteran mentality. I mean, he's been in the league a long time for multiple teams. It's good to have him around. He obviously is a good fit with the team, and every team needs one of these guys. Every team needs a guy where he just can flat out shoot. He's a walking bucket. And I think as he gets older, there will be some parts of his game that deteriorate. I think you see it I think you'll see it on the defensive side, but it's not like he has a game that's reliant on his athleticism. It's just not. It's not what he relies on. He relies on savvy and shooting. That's more of his game. So when we look at that, but I will be honest, he is more athletic than I thought he was going to be. He's a good player to have. So I'm excited about this re-signing. I hope you are as well. It's nice to get some news. I think we all knew and thought and hoped that we were bringing Bojan Bogdanovic in to be part of our team for a few years. I just think also it's really cool that he was wanting to be part of this thing. This is obviously a rebuilding team. So for Bojan to be like, yep, I'm here. I want to stay here. I want to be here, and I'm going to sign an extension to do it. You don't need to trade me. He must like what's going on with this team as well. So that's exciting to hear about. So let me know what you think. Do you like the re-signing? Is it too much money? Are you worried about the age? Or are you just saying, no, he's good. He's on the back end of his career, but he's not at the end of his career. So I like the signing at the price point for what he brings. Let me know. Leave your comments below. Hit that subscribe button. Do it. We want to have you part of this community, and we'll see you on the next video.